Success doesn't come from one big moment. It's built quietly, slowly, in the hours when no one is watching. It's shaped by the habits you choose when the world is asleep, when your mind wants comfort, when your heart wants rest. These habits don't just change your routine, they change you. Today, let's talk about the life-changing habits that can transform your entire destiny, step by step, day by day. The habit of ruthless self-honesty. There is a moment in every person's life when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. It usually arrives quietly, without warning, but its impact is powerful enough to shake everything inside you. Ruthless self-honesty is the beginning of all real transformation, because unless you are willing to see your life clearly, you will never be able to change it. This habit demands that you look in the mirror without flinching, without justifying, without sugarcoating. It asks you to confront the reality of who you are today so you can become who you want to be tomorrow. And this is where most people stop, because honesty is not comfortable. It forces you to recognize the habits that are destroying you, the excuses that are holding you back, the fears you keep hiding behind, and the dreams you've been avoiding because deep down you doubt your own potential. But within this discomfort lies the birthplace of growth. Ruthless self-honesty is not about judging yourself harshly, it's about seeing yourself clearly. It's about acknowledging the truth that every result in your life is connected to a choice you made or a choice you avoided. It's realizing that blaming circumstances might feel comforting, but it steals your power. When you accept full responsibility for your life, your actions, your mindset, your environment, you unlock a level of freedom most people never experience, because responsibility gives you control, and control gives you the power to change everything. This habit teaches you that nothing changes until you do. No dream becomes real until you admit what's stopping you. No breakthrough arrives until you face the parts of yourself you've been running from. Self-honesty demands courage, the courage to admit when you're wrong, when you've been lazy, when you've been inconsistent, when you've been choosing comfort instead of progress. It requires you to question your own patterns. Why do you procrastinate? Why do you fear failure? Why do you hold on to certain people who drain you? Why do you keep repeating the same behaviors expecting a different outcome? When you start asking these questions, your life begins to shift. You start to understand your triggers, your weaknesses, your emotional defaults. And once you understand them, you gain the power to change them. Most people never become successful, not because they lack talent, but because they lack honesty with themselves. They tell themselves stories about not having time, not having support, not having the right conditions. But success has never depended on perfect conditions. It has always depended on a clear mind and a truthful heart. When you embrace the habit of self-honesty, you stop seeking approval from others. You stop performing for the world. You stop pretending to be someone you are not. You start living from a place of authenticity, where your actions match your intentions and your intentions match your values. Ruthless self-honesty also teaches you to recognize your strengths, because the truth isn't only about what's broken, it's also about what's powerful within you. It's acknowledging the resilience you've shown in hard times, the intelligence you underestimate, the talent you've ignored, the potential you've been too scared to claim. When you see yourself fully, not just the flaws, but the fire, you begin to trust yourself differently. You make decisions with more confidence. You pursue goals with more clarity. You stand stronger in moments of doubt. You become someone who knows their worth, not because someone else said it, but because you've seen it with your own eyes. This habit also pushes you to evaluate the environment you've built around yourself. Are the people in your life lifting you or limiting you? Are your daily routines aligned with your goals or distracting you from them? Are you living according to your own vision or trying to meet the expectations of others? Ruthless honesty forces you to acknowledge when something in your life is no longer serving you. It teaches you that letting go is not weakness, it is maturity, it is evolution, it is choosing growth over attachment. And the deeper you go into this habit, the more you realize that the truth is not your enemy, it is your guide. It reveals the path forward. It highlights what needs healing, what needs changing, what needs strengthening. It breaks the illusions that keep you stuck and replaces them with clarity. And clarity is the foundation of success. When you can see your life clearly, you can direct it intentionally. When you can admit your flaws, you can fix them. When you can acknowledge your strengths, you can use them. When you can face your fears, you can overcome them. The habit of consistent, uncomfortable discipline. There's a certain illusion people carry when they think about success. They imagine it arriving with fireworks, big victories, or sudden breakthroughs. But real success doesn't appear like that. It grows quietly, day by day, in the shadows of discipline. Consistent, uncomfortable discipline is the force that shapes your future long before the world notices your efforts. It is the habit that demands more from you than motivation ever will. Motivation fades, inspiration fades, but discipline remains, especially on the days when nothing inside you wants to continue. It is the commitment you make to your future self, and that commitment becomes the foundation of everything you achieve. Discipline is not meant to be comfortable. It's not meant to be easy. It is meant to stretch you, challenge you, break your old patterns, and rebuild you into someone stronger. Success doesn't require perfection, but it does require action, repeated action, consistent action, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when circumstances are not in your favor. Discipline teaches you that the real battle is never against the world. It's against your own mind. Your mind wants comfort. It wants the familiar. It wants the path of least resistance. Discipline teaches you to override that internal resistance and choose what is difficult, because what is difficult is what develops you. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, then fade. They build momentum, then break it. They set goals, then abandon them at the first sign of discomfort. What they don't realize is that discomfort is the entrance fee for transformation. Growth requires friction. Strength requires struggle. Mastery requires repetition. You cannot become who you want to be while clinging to the habits of who you used to be. Discipline becomes the bridge between your old identity and your future self. And every day you choose discipline, you strengthen that bridge. Discipline takes you beyond your feelings. It moves you from, I don't feel like it, to, I must do it. It turns your goals from dreams into obligations. When you build this habit, your excuses lose power. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop depending on ideal conditions. You stop letting small obstacles derail your progress. With discipline, you learn that progress is built in the ordinary days, not the exciting ones. It's in the early mornings when no one is awake. It's in the late nights when the world has stopped. It's in the boring hours of practice, repetition, refinement, and effort that no one claps for. Those are the moments that define you. Discipline is also deeply connected to identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you tell yourself a story about who you are. You tell yourself you are capable. You tell yourself you are strong. You tell yourself you are someone who follows through. Over time, that story becomes your reality. You stop trying to become disciplined and instead become the kind of person who naturally shows up, who naturally endures, who naturally keeps going even when things are hard. That shift in identity is powerful because once you see yourself differently, your actions align with that vision. There will be days when discipline feels like the only thing holding you together. Days when progress feels invisible. Days when your effort feels unnoticed. But this is where discipline reveals its true value. It keeps you moving when your emotions fluctuate. It anchors you when your motivation is missing. It gives you structure when life feels chaotic. Discipline is not just a habit. It is a form of self-respect. It is the declaration that your goals matter, your dreams matter, and your future matters more than your temporary comfort. Discipline also teaches patience. In a world addicted to instant gratification, discipline forces you to play the long game. You learn to delay rewards. You learn to trust the process. You learn to believe that every small action, even the ones that feel insignificant, is building something bigger. With discipline, you begin to understand that progress is slow but certain. You don't see results every day, but every day contributes to the result. Just like water shapes stone through consistency, discipline shapes your character through repetition. One of the most powerful aspects of discipline is its ability to create momentum. Once you start showing up consistently, it becomes harder to stop. You create a rhythm. Your mind adapts. Your body follows. And soon, the tasks that once felt difficult become part of your nature. What was once a struggle becomes your standard. This momentum becomes a force of its own, pushing you further than you ever imagined. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on the systems you built. Surrounding all of this is the reality that discipline will isolate you at times. You will have to say no to distractions, no to certain people, no to temporary pleasures that derail your long-term vision. You will spend hours working while others waste their time. You will choose goals over comfort, growth over excuses, purpose over pleasure. And though this path may feel lonely, it is the path that leads to elevation. Discipline separates those who dream from those who achieve. It separates those who talk from those who transform. It becomes the invisible force that shapes your destiny inch by inch, step by step, day after day. The habit of protecting your mind and environment. One of the most overlooked truths about success is that your mind is your greatest asset and your environment is the silent architect shaping it. Most people focus on external goals, money, achievements, recognition, without realizing that none of those things can be sustained if the mind behind them is cluttered, drained, or unfocused. Protecting your mind and environment is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the habit that ensures your growth is not disrupted by the noise of the world, the negativity of people, or the weight of your own unfiltered thoughts. Your mind is the battlefield where your future is decided long before your actions take place. If you do not guard it, it gets hijacked by fear, comparison, distractions, and doubt. Protecting your mind starts with awareness. You must become conscious of everything that enters your mental space, the conversations you allow, the content you consume, the habits you tolerate, the people you keep close. Every input influences your emotions, your beliefs, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. Your thoughts are shaped by the environment you place yourself in. If you surround yourself with chaos, negativity, or laziness, you will absorb it, even if you don't intend to. That is why success requires intentional boundaries. You need to filter what gets access to your attention. You need to become selective with what you let influence your state of mind. Your environment is not just physical, it is emotional, mental, and digital. It includes the people you interact with daily, the energy they bring, the conversations you engage in, and the atmosphere you live in. Some environments nourish you. Others suffocate your potential without you even noticing. Protecting your environment means recognizing when something in your life is draining you more than it is serving you. It means being honest about how certain people make you feel, how certain habits affect your energy, and how certain spaces impact your clarity. This habit teaches you to guard your peace, because without peace, there is no focus, and without focus, there is no progress. Your mind is sensitive to what it repeatedly sees and hears. If your conversations revolve around gossip, drama, or complaints, your mind becomes wired for negativity. If your daily inputs revolve around distractions, entertainment, or comparison, your mind becomes conditioned to seek shortcuts instead of growth. But when you feed your mind with learning, discipline, and purpose, it becomes sharp, resilient, and driven. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Every day, you are either strengthening your mind or weakening it, depending on what you allow inside. Protecting your mind also means protecting your energy. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you constantly give your energy to people who don't value it, to thoughts that don't serve you, or to habits that don't align with your future, you drain yourself to the point where even the smallest task feels heavy. Success requires energy, it requires focus, it requires presence. You cannot reach your potential while surrounded by things that pull you backward. That is why this habit demands that you clear mental clutter, create emotional distance from negativity, and set boundaries that protect your inner world. One of the hardest parts of this habit is learning to detach from people who drain your growth. Not everyone deserves access to you. Some people bring confusion, insecurity, and doubt into your life simply because they have not dealt with their own writer. You cannot heal in the same environment that hurt you. You cannot grow in a crowd that is comfortable with staying the same. Protecting your environment means learning who belongs in your life and who belongs in your past. It means understanding that distance is not anger, it is self-respect. It is the realization that your future is too important to be shaped by the wrong influences. Your mind thrives in clarity. When your environment is organized physically, mentally, emotionally, you feel lighter, stronger, and more in control. Decluttering your space declutters your thoughts. Cleaning your surroundings resets your energy. Simplifying your life removes friction and frees mental capacity for things that matter. Small changes in your environment create massive changes in your mindset. And once your mindset shifts, your actions elevate. Another crucial part of protecting your mind is managing what you focus on. Your focus is the language your mind listens to. What you focus on expands. If you constantly focus on problems, your mind becomes a home for stress. If you constantly focus on failures, your mind becomes a home for fear. But if you focus on solutions, growth, and possibility, your mind becomes a foundation of strength. This habit teaches you to redirect your attention from what drains you to what builds you. It teaches you that your mind is not a place for anxiety to live, it is a place for ideas to grow. Protecting your environment also means creating routines that center you, morning routines that ground you, night routines that reset you, daily habits that clear your mental fog and remind you of your purpose. When you give your mind structure, it stops getting lost in distractions. When you give your environment order, your life stops feeling chaotic. This habit is about creating spaces inside and outside yourself that allow you to grow without unnecessary resistance. You begin to understand that success is not just about what you do, it is about what you avoid. It is about what you refuse to let into your life. It is about guarding your inner world so fiercely that nothing external can break your focus, shake your confidence, or weaken your vision. Your mind is the engine behind your dreams, and your environment is the fuel. When you protect both, you move through life with clarity, strength, and intention.